This is You're in the Right Place podcast with your host, me, Ebony Kira. Welcome. I am your host, Ebony Kira, with You're in the Right Place podcast, a new podcast that I am bringing to you all from the heart. This is my baby, and I'm excited to go on this journey with you all. I've started You're in the Right Place for people that want to share their stories, whether that's your life story, how you came about, how you became to come into fruition of your success, all of it, no matter who you are, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, whether you are a creative, whether you are a celebrity, because we will be having those on this show as well. But I made this to be a safe space to be vulnerable, to come chat, to come kiki, because we're going to laugh on here today. We're going to laugh and we're going to have a time. I just felt like the podcast space was missing substance. I felt like we need to be having more meaningful conversations as a culture. I want to present this with love and to share vulnerability. I'm going to be sharing my story today, okay? For those of you who do not know me, my name is Ebony Kiera. I grew up on the south side of Chicago like Miss Michelle Obama. South side of Chicago, my mom, single parent, raised me. Along with a host of my family members, my grandparents, my uncles, all lived in this same house on 61st and Kimbark. If you know, you know. And I grew up in a loving home for the most part. Of course, when we're in a black family, we know, Jab. It can get crazy. It can get real crazy, but my family, just growing up, was so amazing. My grandparents were so loving. Bless their heart, they're no longer here with us on this earth. So I grew up with the mindset of go and get it by any means necessary. My mom, being a single parent that she was, taught me how to hustle. She taught me everything I know. My dad wasn't around that much, and he plays a pivotal role in who I am today. I went to Ridge-South High School, which is a suburb of Chicago, like maybe 25 minutes away in a small city called Richmond Park, Illinois. And high school shaped me. I was a transfer, the new girl. And it's hard being the new girl. It really is. When you're coming from somewhere else, I got a lot of, when people tell you either not black enough or you're not white enough, I came into that play and it was always, oh, you're not from Chicago. You don't talk like this or you don't speak like this. So it was just like, oh, Jesus, do I have to defend being a black girl? I am black, by the way, just in case nobody don't know. Y'all always ask me, people always ask me, am I mixed? Am I this? Child, I am a black woman and proud black woman at that. Being the new girl in a space where you don't know anyone, where you have to kind of recreate your life. And later on, it's funny now that I'm talking about this out loud. I had to do that again when I moved to Atlanta, but we're going to get there. High school shaped me. Those years, 14 to 18, I ended up being a popular girl, long story short. I was a cheerleader. I was a part of the dance team, volleyball, an athlete, so to speak. So a host of friends that I ended up gaining that are literally still my lifelong friends to this day. I value friendship. So if you're in my friend group, we locked in like this. We locked in. After high school, I did decide to go to college. And that decision was not made easily. I think as black people, or just as a society in general, we tend to have that mentality, or they tend to teach us, all right, go to high school, pick a good college, pick a good job. And that's how life really goes. But I'm here to tell you it does not. I went to college and I actually wanted to study dance, my hidden talent. Actually, it's not hidden. I do it when I want to. But I went to college to study dance. I wanted to be a dancer so bad. When I tell y'all so bad, I wanted to be up there with the likes of Beyonce, Sierra. Man, when you self-sabotage, it gets really bad. I think a year after I was in college, I changed my major. I started to think that I could not be a dancer that you see on TV. I don't know if you all pay attention to Beyonce and how Ashley Everett, which is the big curly hair girl that stands right next to Beyonce all the time on her tours, or now we have people like Aaliyah Janelle and Taylor Terry who dances for Chris Brown. But at the time, we had a lot of dancers like that, and I didn't see myself like that. So I kind of felt like I had to pivot and be like, okay, what else do you love that you feel like you can accomplish, that you can really do? And this is how we're in a podcast right now. I ended up studying journalism and to do radio TV broadcasting. And I felt like right then and there that was my calling. So after dropping out, Chad, I dropped out of college maybe the second or third year. I went back, did it again, went back again, ended up graduating with my certificate in radio, television, broadcasting. Now, in between time, from 18, let's say 18 to 20, 23, let's say 23 or 24, I would say a lot of life happened, which is why I dropped out a couple times. A lot of life happened, and realistically, you're living with your parents, you're trying to figure out your life, what you want to do, how you want to do life, and in your early 20s, it's really not that easy to really try to have it all together. And I just feel like we all think you have a timeline where it's like, okay, by 18, or, you go to college, by 25, I want to graduate, get married, have kids. Life does not work like that. I'm telling you from experience, life does not work like that. So I done a lot of odd jobs, to say the least, to make money and make sure I'm in my mom's. I want to get out. So I just made sure I made my own money. I was a Hooter girl. I modeled. I go-go danced. When I tell you whatever I can get my hands on for cash, I did it. Not like that though. But it was hard. It's hard in general, but it's even harder in Chicago trying to break into the entertainment industry, and even harder as a woman. So after I graduated college and did radio and TV broadcasting, I got an internship at a radio station. And that was just to make sure I got my credits, make sure I was good to go. 2020 COVID happened. Okay? Mind you, I did not get a job in radio in Chicago. Again, although I love my city to death, we have heavy hitters and players and key players in that city that run the radio, that run entertainment, that run our nightlife, so to speak. And this is not to bash those people or bash anything like that, because I'm actually really good friends with these people to this day. But it's just to say, when you have these key power players, it's not easy to jump into something that they're already doing, or they're not giving up their space to give it to you, and or they're not dropping gems on you to say, hey, I want to pull you in to do this, or hey, I want to give you my connections or loan you my connections to try to get you where you want to be, which kind of sucks. But that's the honest truth. We like to call it, what's the thing? Crabs in a barrel. That's what we like to see. You give enough people enough information, or enough, extend the olive branch just enough so they don't take anything away from you. So boom, 2020, COVID happened. I like the phrase that I use all the time when I talk to people. I've lived about 5 lives. I'm like a cat, okay? I'm probably on my 6th life. But anyway, I was working for a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Indiana, okay? And I remember the office meeting we had was like, okay, we're laying everybody off because we're shutting all this down. I know y'all remember what COVID looked like, okay? Especially in Chicago, no businesses were open. You could not go anywhere. Man, you couldn't do absolutely anything. So, boom, we got the layoff. So I'm at home. I'm like, okay, am I about to be forced to start another life, basically? And at this time, I was already in my head about moving. I'm like, okay, I want to move. I had always talked about Atlanta, and we are shooting this episode from Atlanta, Georgia, at the location ATL, by the way. I wanted to move to Atlanta, and I had been talking about that for years. And I'm going to touch back on that self-sabotage. When you self-sabotage yourself, you talk yourself out of a lot of things, okay? In dreams that you don't know if you do it or if you don't do it. You would never know, because you're already just like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't have the means. I don't have the faith. I don't have nothing to do that. So I'm like, okay, 2020 rolls around. You're getting money from the government. We were getting, y'all know, trust me, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. We were getting the unemployment checks from the government. So I don't know, if I had to be exact, they were giving us $1,200, $1,600 a month. I ain't never seen that kind of money. Putting the money in my savings account, right? So I'm very strategic on what I was doing to make the move, because I was like, it's now or never. I had just turned 30, And I'm just like, how do we want your life to be in the next 10 years? Let's strategically plan this. It was March 2020. I started saving up all that money I was getting, right? By the time August 2020 came around, mind you, Atlanta was wide open, okay? Atlanta's not a real place. I have never seen so much happen during COVID. I know y'all seen it. It was all over the shade room. It was all over neighborhood talk. Atlanta was wide open. Nightclubs was going hookah, drinks, shots, all of it. Why? Crazy. It was crazy, right? Okay. So in August of 2020, I decided to make the move. I had saved up enough money. I didn't go anywhere during COVID. I think the simplest thing I bought was an iPad. That's probably the most I spent my money on. So in order to do this pivot and figure out, okay, Ebony, how do you want your next 10 years to go? Are we going to stay stagnant? We're going to stay in a place that you are comfortable in? Or are we going to make this move to where you know for a fact that you can flourish in the business that you want to be in? So I made the move, y'all. I made the move with probably a little bit over $2,000 in my account, maybe three. And I didn't have a place to stay. Lord, bad idea. Don't recommend that. But no, I didn't have an apartment. I stepped out on the money I had in faith, to be totally honest. And here we are right now. It worked. I am here to tell you it worked. And this is not to say everybody's story is going to be the same. It's just to say when you believe and don't self-sabotage yourself, it opens doors. Your mindset kind of opens up and you're like, okay, I can really do this. And I'm going to tell you, when I first got here, I'm not going to lie, I went through hell that first year trying to find an apartment, trying to find a job. Because, I mean, obviously, coming here to be a content creator, media personality, that I knew that wasn't going to pop off immediately. I just knew, like, okay, I know people like me here. I had already been visiting. So I'm like, people like me here. People rock with me here. You know, maybe they'll throw me a little whatever. Baby, it was not easy whatsoever. First of all, it was my first time being out on my own, moving on my own at 30. I never lived anywhere else besides Chicago, okay? And man, do y'all know how much apartments cost? Because I didn't know. When I got here, they like, yeah, apartments, $1,000, $1,200, whatever. I'm like, oh my God. I don't got this kind of money. I don't have it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have it, Lord. I'm calling my mom. I'm crying tears. And I mean like real tears. I'm like, Mom, I don't have no money. It's not in my budget. If I try to get rent for $800, I'm going to be living in the hood. I'm going to get shot. She's laughing at me, by the way. She's like, girl, just up the budget. It's okay. It's okay. Just relax. Find you something you like. And it'll be just fine. I was living with my best friend at the time. And my first job I got here was at a Mediterranean restaurant, Babylon. I'm sure my Atlanta people know what I'm talking about. And if you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. So I started bartending at Babylon. That was my first job I got here. And then I got a job working at the Georgia Tax Revenue, right? I remember maybe a couple weeks working there. Something told me to look at apartments in Buckhead. A little voice, and I'm sure it was God, because it was not my voice, okay? And I'm like, let me just look at Buckhead. Mind you, everybody has already gave me the tea about, oh, Buckhead is the uppity area. It's going to cost you $1 million to live over there. I'm like, I wasn't at this job no longer than a couple weeks. I looked one day. It was an apartment that popped up. And I'm telling this story, even though it's little, it's relevant because I'm going to show you how God shows out for people. And especially me. I've just kind of found out in a couple years, I am one of God's favorites, okay? Thank you, Jesus. So I found this apartment that's literally 10 minutes away from my job, okay? Both jobs just so happens to be. I didn't know it at the time, but both jobs. And I'm like, okay, let's go tour this apartment. And I get there. Beautiful apartment. I got a pool. It's a tennis court. It's a pool. It's a gym. 1 bedroom, a decent size. No studio, none of that. I'm like, all right, this is nice. I'm feeling this. I'm rocking with this. I asked the people, I said, okay, so what's going on here? What y'all charging? My rent was like $950. $950 in Buckhead? Sign me up right now. Sign me up right now. Dotted line, what I owe you? I got to get y'all this. So I had already had the money, right? Boom. And I just want y'all to know, and like I said, I tell that story because that was nobody but God. Mind you, I'm 6 months into Atlanta. Nowhere to live. My best friend is kind of, and I know y'all going, ooh, Lord, please don't eat my best friend up. I'm not going to say her name. But when people are used to living alone, because now that I've lived alone, I get it. My best friend was like, "Yeah, girl, so you found you somewhere to live. Found you somewhere to live. Yeah, you've been living here quite some time." I'm like, "Girl, I get you. I got it. It's okay. I get what you're trying to put down." Even though at the time it was emotional, mind y'all, we are still friends to this day. So please don't eat my girl up. We're still friends to this day, but definitely I understood. So about 6 months into living here, I definitely got the place that God wanted me to have. Because, baby, I said I had money, but I ain't had that kind of money. So I signed me a lease in Buckhead for $950. And I still live in that place to this day. And I just, so that was God's voice, because I had no reason to be living in Buckhead. Okay. So that happens. And honestly, everything started looking up. I guess I really had to believe for real in myself, and actually really in God. And I don't want to make this all religious and spiritual, but honestly, truly, it was God. I don't know how else to explain it. I didn't know how else to look at it. That's exactly what it was. So after that, I jumped into the media bag. I did my first award show, which was Black Honors. I did the Stellar Awards. This is all within, I don't know, maybe a year, so 2021. I did the Stellar Awards in that year. I did the Black Music Honors right after that. And I interviewed some of the favorites that you might know: Coco Jones, Sweetie, DJ Envy. I got a chance to meet Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club, which she's no longer on the Breakfast Club. She has her own show, Lip Service, now. But Angela Yee, I got to do a red carpet for the Whitney Houston premiere here. Everything that is Black Hollywood happens here, if you don't know. So a lot of these things that were coming to my life, I was just like, oh my God. Okay. So it started to make me feel like you made the right decision after all. Because when you're in those weird spaces and you're like, dang, did I make the right decision? Because ain't shit going well for me right now. And I figured it out that I did. So we are here, Atlanta, and I definitely pay homage to this city for being so amazing to me, and the people are allowing me to be great and just flourish and speaking my names in different rooms that I would never have gotten in Chicago, or that I wouldn't even ever people even speak my name in general. So homage to this beautiful city. I love all of y'all, and y'all know who y'all are. I'm trying to get emotional right now, but yes. And I've turned into a content creator. I don't even know how that happens. It just kind of happened. So when you're in spaces again like these, in cities like these, you get a lot of different opportunities, and content creator kind of came about just by chance. I started recording just me doing just stuff I would normally do on a regular day-to-day basis, like solo dates. I spend a lot of time by myself. So my solo dates, or just me going out, having a good time, or trying a new restaurant. And then that came about. They're like, oh, we want to pay you to come try some food. We want to pay you to come to this event, pay you to do that. I said, hold on. All right. Yeah, let's do it. So now I got a title of content creator along with media correspondent and journalist under my belt. I had a chance to, from 2021 to 2020, a little bit of 2023, I got a chance to work with a blog you all may know of. It's called It's On Site, ran by Ra Ali. It was amazing working with her, under her, and watching her grow that platform to what it is today. If you don't know, at It's On Site, go look. I used to write and contribute as a content creator and writer for that team as well. I have worked with Def Jam. I have worked with Media Girls Network. Shout out to Media Girls Network. They're always providing opportunities for our Black girls in media. And shout out to Def Jam. And at Def Jam, that's how I got the Coco Jones. He's her A&R. So that's how I got the Coco Jones interview. Yes, I got a chance to work with One Music Fest. That was one of the most humbling experiences I think I've ever had. I got to speak on, host, moderate panels for Black women in film and television. Oh my God. And a host of just other things I can't even really think about it. I should have probably wrote it down. Let's go back a little bit to kind of how I grew up and how I am, and why certain things play a key role in my life now, and why I'm so prone on being this girl's girl that I am today. I definitely did not grow up with my dad, and I know a lot of women didn't, or some, or few, however you really want to word it. My dad did recently come into my life, and we've healed, and We are in a beautiful, blooming father and daughter relationship now, but he played a key role in why I go so hard. And not just from him being there. A little background about my dad. My dad is a musician, right? So he was in the entertainment industry. He was in a big, huge band. He's traveled all over the world and plays the keyboard and the guitar. So growing up, that's my dad left because he wanted to pursue his career and where he was going. Which now, as an adult, you get it. You're like, dang, you went to pursue your dream, so I can't be mad at that because now I'm in the same boat. Now, whether I would have did it having a kid, that's totally neither here nor there. I just think when you have a kid, it probably would have got a little deep and a little different. But my mom did a phenomenal job. But anyway, it just is crazy. I mentioned that just to say it's so funny how me and my dad share commonalities and how I talk to him today, because he's the only person that I know that actually took that step and took that foot out that door on faith and said, all right, I'm about to follow my dreams, do whatever it is by any means necessary. So that's how me and him are related. Although at the time I probably hated him growing up because he wasn't around. And that's just true facts. I did. I was a 13-year-old girl, mad at him, mad at the world. You know, you get those feelings if you're a woman who grew up without her dad, like somebody doesn't want you, or you feel like, why didn't you stay? It's a lot of that mixed into that. And we've had some fights where I was just like, don't ever come back around. Don't you ever. And you're a kid saying this. And it's so, I always kind of laugh about it now, telling it back to people when I tell people the story of how my relationship is with my dad. But now it just seems like he's the only person I can kind of relate to now or talk to. And it's very interesting in the wide spectrum of how, life actually circles back a little bit. The baby, we butted heads a lot. He's just, my dad worked my nerves so bad. Oh my God, my dad worked my nerves so bad. But shout out to my dad. When I got out of my head and got out of that hate stage with him, I got to know him. My mom plays this important role in my life too, just kind of building me up to be a hustler and to just make sure I'm good and to be able to survive on my own. Oh my God, am I gonna cry? So my mom, with the help of my grandmother and my grandfather, my mom is the absolute definition of like unconditional love when it came to raising me, when it came to believing in me, when it came to just like, girl, I know you could do this. I know you could do it. And I know that you can do it. And I know you got it in the bag. Now, sometimes we definitely butted heads as well, because my mom is not the my mom is not the follow my dream type of person or anything like that, but she definitely always spoke life into me when it came to just certain stuff. And she's always like, oh my God, if you ever have trouble in Atlanta, just come back. Like, and I worked so hard not to have to come back. Like, it was more so of not out of fear, or not out of, it more so was like out of failing. I did not, oh my God, when I tell you I did not want to move back to Chicago, I'm just like, no, we have to make this work. Like, we have to make this work, because we're not going to go back. Because at this point in time, what are we going to do? What else are we going to do if this don't work? So I'm like, this has to work. So just to paint the picture, I've been in Atlanta for 4 years. This is my fourth year here. And I go to Chicago all the time, but this is my fourth year here, and I always say, everybody, how do you like Atlanta? And I'm like, I like Atlanta. It's perfect for what I'm here for, but I'm just like, I don't really know if I'm ready to call it home yet. I'm such a scatterbrain when it comes to certain stuff, and I'm always on the move. I always like, oh, what's new? What else can we do? And that's probably my problem. But I think we're growing roots here, and my main thing was to set those roots here so that eventually, when it's time to go elsewhere, everyone already knows my name. That's literally, what I set out to do, and why I did set out to build something like this on my own. There are so many women I speak to, women and men, that have so many unbelievable life stories. And I'm just like, dag, if y'all had a platform to tell this on, we're too busy worried about other things that we talk about amongst social media. It plays a big part, whether that's dating 50-50, men bashing women on podcasts. I don't like that. And you will not see any of that here. And I just want to make sure everybody has their story told, because we're more alike than I think people think. Humans are more alike and experience kind of the same thing. I definitely think at some point in time, whether it's before or now, we definitely have all lived the same lives. We all got what, them one uncles that may be alcoholic, or them grandparents they act a fool, or them aunts, or the rich auntie, or like, I know y'all know what I mean. So this is what my creation and where God has brought me. I want to be able to give everyone a platform to say how you feel, what you feel. So we gonna get into some things on this, and I cannot believe I just cried. Oh my God! I was hoping to get through this today without doing that, but it's okay. Cause we're gonna be crying on here too. I'm already know. I got some really good guests that's gonna come on here, and I already know we're gonna be crying. So I'm a crier. I'll just let that be known right now. So you're gonna see a lot of tears from. This is pretty much the introductory episode. There's gonna be more probably of me. I do want to share more of my life story as well, and give y'all some of the craziness that I've been on. Like I said, I've lived 5 lives. Some of them weren't that great. Some of them were really great. And I feel like now I'm in that blossoming area. You know, like when a tulip, it's like just the tulips are just blooming in March, and then kind of open up. That's where I feel like I am right now. You're in the right place podcast with Ebony and Kiera. I cannot wait to share this idea with the world. I hope you guys receive everything that I put down. I really hope you guys are living in your truth, that you are faithful. Believe in yourself. That's one thing I definitely want to stress. Believe that you can do it. Believe that it can come to fruition. Believe in God. And this does not mean go to church every Sunday. I don't go to church every Sunday. That just means find your center that are ready and willing to share. I just want to make sure everyone is able to have a voice and to speak. So this is You're in the Right Place podcast with Ebony Kiera. I hope you guys jump on this journey. Follow my podcast on Instagram at You're in the Right Place Pod. It's actually abbreviated. So YITR Peapod on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, the host at Ebony Care on all platforms. I'm gonna be taking you guys along with me as we do this. Shout out to the Location ATL for allowing me to shoot this here, and I cannot wait to see what we cook up together. So thank you. Make sure y'all follow, subscribe, all of it.